Did you know black and brown people worldwide are reconnecting to their roots and redefining their relationships through the land by gardening and farming? And Black Gardener Talk is dedicated to sharing those voices to inspire all people of color and even some that don't look like us to grow by any means necessary. But sometimes we just need our own safe space to talk. Good morning, I'm Kamani Anku, and my guest today is Kenneth Sparks, aka Farmer Ken. Let me try to get him in the live real quick. It's early in the morning. Out on the West Coast it's like 8 o'clock. So let's try to get him in the room. Thank y'all for joining us. Share this video out. Let me see where Farmer Ken is. Yeah, it's the season finale of Black Gardener Talk. I've been able to give you this programming for about 12, 13 weeks. I'm excited. Let me try to get Kim Farms in the room. But yeah, it's been 12 episodes. I'm really excited. Let's see if I can get Ken in the room. Farmer Ken. Farmer Ken, accept my invite. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining. While we wait for Ken Farm to pop in. I hope everyone is having a great Saturday morning. I got my black tea ready. Let me see what Ken Farms it. Farmer Ken, where are you? Hold tight, folks. It's going to be a great show. Just hold tight while we try to get him here. It's the internet, right? Let's see what's going on. It's 8 o'clock in the morning out there on the West Coast. Farmer Ken, send me an invite. I just sent you one. I see that you are on, so hold tight, folks. Hold tight. Hold tight. Here we go. Here we go. Hold tight, y'all. Having a little technical difficulties. The internet, right? Farmer Ken is unable to join. Maybe you need to reboot your phone and then try to join me, Ken. But yeah, this is Black Gardener Talk. I'm trying to do this every Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. Hey, here he is.
Hey, what's going on?
Not much. All right, folks. This is Farmer Ken. Thank you for joining me. I know it's early in the morning.
Bright and early here.
Bright and early. So what's going on with you this morning? How are you feeling this morning?
It's going pretty well. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. It's a little later over here, but yeah. So let's get right into it because the people have been waiting. What was your first memory of gardening?
My first memory,
Mm-hmm.
first memory of gardening was probably when I was about maybe 5 years old or so. Back in Ohio, being on the land with my great grandmother, My grandmother. I think I was helping my time was just walking around. My great grandmother had like two or three garden spaces on the yard, so I was just outside walking around with her. That's probably one of my first memories of gardening.
Okay, that's what's up. So, grandma, your grandparents taught you how to garden, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah. I learned from my great grandmother. She was around for I think until I was maybe like 6 years old when she passed away, and then my grandmother. Um, I had her around until 2019, so I learned from. That's how I got my start from them, and then my great aunt also taught me some things when I was younger as well.
Okay, that's what's up. So, you said Ohio, from Ohio to the West Coast. How did that happen? Tell the people
Right.
how did that happen?
So I lived in Ohio until 2006. I went to the Ohio State University for undergrad. After I graduated there, I moved to Chicago. I went to graduate school in Chicago, stayed there about 7 or 8 years, and then I moved to LA in 2014. I was working in education at the time. I have a master's degree in education, so I found a new job in education, relocated. I was sick of the cold weather, and then I moved to LA, and that's how I got to Cali.
Yeah, definitely Ohio has some cold weather, right?
Yeah,
One time I went out there to visit some friends and got stuck in the airport during this time around Christmas time. Almost
yeah,
didn't make it. It was a bunch of snow and everything. So yeah, I'm glad that you moved out to the West Coast. So from the West Coast, from education to gardening, how
yeah.
did you jump back into gardening, or was you always gardening? You just stepped it up?
I was always gardening. I still had garden spaces, and I still, even in education, I did some academic and enrichment programs for youth and for families. So some of those components included gardening and health and nutrition. So I always had, still was involved with it. And then when I bought my first house in Southern California, I had a garden space, and every time I got a home, I had a larger garden space. And so then I just in 20 let's see, I think in 2019 I expanded my space out. My grandmother passed away, and I expanded out more to dedicate a spot in uh, my prior property to her. So I added some fruit trees that I had growing up that you typically wouldn't think would be in a warmer environment, but you can definitely grow them if you have low chill varieties. So like apples and peaches and pears and cherries and stuff like that. So I expanded out my garden space, and then at the same time, uh, let's see, I was doing all that. The job I was working in at the time, I wasn't able to utilize my full talents and skills, and didn't really feel too appreciated there. And then with dealing with that, and then my grandmother's death, and my grandfather was sick too, and so that kind of what brought me back a little bit. And then the
Mhm.
pandemic hit in 2020, and I tripled the size of my garden space in my prior land. And then I launched my business. My friends kept telling me I need to go ahead and launch the Farmer Can, and I don't know, I was stalling because I'm back in my head, I'm thinking everybody knows how to garden, everybody knows how to grow, so but I didn't realize that a lot of people didn't know how. So when I launched my company, I started providing fresh produce. I grow organically, so providing fresh produce to different communities, and the farmers markets, and then and a source of seeds from what I'm growing, and then and also doing garden consultation and installation and things like that. So that I could teach other people how to grow and develop their garden spaces. So um, that's how I well, that's what brought me back. So it was part of my healing. I know somebody's talking about therapy and therapeutic. Yes, that was also part of my healing process. So all of that, and then I started getting a lot of media exposure. So it's been nonstop since 2020. I was in LA Times several times, Spectrum News, ABC 7 News. I've been in Modern Farmer magazine. I was just on TripAdvisor recently. So it's been back to back exposure since then. So that's what brought me to where I'm at today.
That is what's up. The exposure, I'm sure, is really big. I mean, you're everywhere. I mean, I see you everywhere. You know what I'm saying? How do you balance that they're trying to maintain what you're trying to do, and then all that media? hype around you, surrounding you? How do you balance it?
It's it's just a balance. You just fit it in. I just kind of go with the flow with everything. I just moved into my new property in May. The end of May, I was able to go through that long USDA Farm Service Agency loan process. So I was approved and moved into my new property at the end of May. So it's been a lot of work getting the new land together this summer. So planting a lot of trees, getting the garden spaces situated. I have chickens as well, so building out that whole space. And and so the first couple of months, I had to start from scratch. There were only three mature citrus trees on the land, and then some ornamental plants and palm trees and stuff like that. But I had to basically recultivate this whole land, amend the soil, all that type of stuff. So it was a lot of work in the beginning. It's more on autopilot now. I had to extend some of the irrigation and all that kind of stuff. So it's now I'm back to a spot where it kind of can be on autopilot. And now our winter rains have set in California. In California, our climate is way different. We have a Mediterranean. A lot of places have like a Mediterranean-like climate, which means we have the warm, dry summers, and then we have a cooler or mild, wetter winter. So we get most of our rain in the winter time. And so now the rainy season has kicked in and our cooler weather is kicked in. That's why I have my hoodie on today.
I was
I
going to
always
ask you
joke.
about that.
Yeah, it's Cali cold. So it's really, if I was in the Midwest, it would feel like fall time, early fall. I mean, we still get 60s in the daytime, 40s at night, sometimes 30s at night. It's still not cold, but it feels cold to us because we're used to having warmer temperatures. So right now, I think we're like in the 40s. We're going up to this upper 60s today. It's gonna feel cool, but it is what it is. It's not really cool. It's just we used to warmer weather.
Well, you got your sweatshirt on.
Yeah.
So this is someone in the room. It works for the USDA, so they was like, "That's
Nice.
my job." So that was up. Um, did you make any mistakes when you first started? Talk to the people about making mistakes and then going from
Yeah.
mistakes to, like you said, autopilot.
Yeah, I made mistakes. Yeah, especially in this new land, there are things you have to learn. There's new things you have to learn. Like I had pest issues, so I was planting, but I didn't realize the amount of pests that I had, and that kind of set me back temporarily. There's jackrabbits on this land and ground squirrels, and they both did a lot of damage to. I had transplanted a bunch of seedlings that I started early spring, anticipating getting approved and moving to this new land. They ate up a lot of those plants. A lot of I had to find out where I could plant and what area on the new land, and that was the process. So I knew that in the front now I can't plant squash and stuff like that because once in a while a ground squirrel will still make his way in, or a jackrabbit. They're less now because I had add a lot of fencing. But yeah, I'm not even bothering that. Down there, I plant green onions, and I plant garlic, and I plant lemongrass, and then I have some basil varieties. Now they did eat some of my basil, but they don't eat all the varieties. The same thing with the mint. So I kind of found out what they ate and what they didn't, and I planted what they didn't eat down there, so I don't have to worry about it too much. And then the other mistake I made was I had some dwarf citrus varieties that I planted down there, and I realized I have to get standard size varieties or taller varieties, taller than 3 feet, because they eat citrus. And the rabbits eat the citrus, and they were eating my younger trees.
Oh
And
wow.
so I had to protect them I had to put tomato cages around them and wrap it with wiring to protect them. I had to get it protected fast because at the same time I was battling that, and I had all these plants I transplanted from the former property, had them shipped to the new property. So it was a lot going on at once. I had to get all those plants set up. I had to protect the from the pests. Had to add fencing. Had to get the chicken coop together. Had to do I had to get the soil fixed because when I was getting ready to plant, I realized that, I knew the soil was sandy, but when testing the soil with like water retention and stuff, the soil did not hold water. The water ran out. So I had to fix the soil in all the areas that I was planting. Now, there's stuff that can tolerate some more sandy soil. Sandy soil is not bad. It's great for drainage, warms up quickly, but it doesn't retain water, and it does not have the nutrients. So I had to mix in organic matter to make it a sandy loamy mixture, which is great for a lot of plant varieties. So I had to do all that kind of stuff. All that was going on at the same time, and I do no-till growing, no-till farming on my land. So and I incorporate in my gardening, and I do a food forest growing technique as well. So I don't till my land. I don't have to worry about tilling this land. Only thing I had to do at first was add some organic matter. I add some cardboard in areas and stuff like that, but I don't till my land. And my land's full of life now. I see worms everywhere and insects and everything else. So I know that what I'm doing is working. So.
And tell the folks how big this farm is, because I heard it's massive.
It's an acre, which is massive for Southern California. I'm in Southern California, and it's hard to get land here. That's why I had to move out from Los Angeles to the next county over now to get the land. Otherwise, I would have been paying several, like millions of dollars. You can't get land in actual LA. It's so hard to even get acres of land. It's hard to get unless you want to drop a whole lot of money, and it's still expensive to get to get an acre further away. Especially if it's an acre and it has a house on it. Yeah, sometimes you got to move out a little bit further. So that's what I had to. That's what I had to do to get my land. So it's a little over an acre. You can grow a lot, which is a misconception. You can grow a lot with less than an acre. You actually don't even need to have a lot of land to grow a lot. It's all about how you plant, what you plant, and all that kind of stuff. So when I was in the city of LA, I had 5,500 square feet, but I was still producing enough to provide for 2 farmers markets weekly. So even in a smaller space, you can grow a lot. It's just your intentionality with your planting.
That's what's one person, Geo Gardner, said, how often do you test your soil?
Believe it or not, I don't test it. I've
Mhm.
never tested my soil. I have some testing because I don't test my soil. I go, what I do is I just make sure that I add organic matter back into the soil. I add worm castings. I do different things like that. I have chickens, so I add chicken manure back into it, and I do things like that. I I don't I don't test. I've never tested. I never tested my soil. I just make sure I just put back in what I need. You may add bone meal or different things like that. So yeah, that's what I do.
That's what's up. From mistakes to what was your first garden success?
On this new land, my first gardening success. Let's see. What did I first? Let's see. I think it was a squash. This first season, I'll just go by this season. We grow year round, so
Okay.
I'm still growing now, but is my from my first when I planted, and I got stuff in the ground in June, and my biggest success going from the I'll just say from the warm season, my biggest success was a squash.
And
Yeah, I had
folks,
some
real quick,
massive ones.
yeah, real quick, they are massive. If you go to his page, his IG page, he got lots of photos of those squash. They look like trombones and trumpets and all kinds of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, that's my
So yeah,
biggest success this year.
and any other success other than the squash?
Yeah, I tried some rainbow glass corn that did really well this year. First time growing that. I've been growing a lot of new things. I grow new things every year, and I grow varieties that you won't find in the grocery store. So that's one of my things that I do. I like growing unique variety of things. I also got some Cara oranges this year
Oh
from
wow.
a new tree. Now I planted the tree. The tree started blooming in the pot because I had it. I bought it early in the spring whenever you have a whole wide variety of stuff to choose from. I had it in a pot because I was waiting to move into the new land. It started blooming. I just let it bloom and do its thing. Now I know some people say to cut your fruit off when you first plant it, so the tree can focus on root growth and not have to worry about focusing energy on your trees, foliage and worrying about the fruit and the flowers. But I just I experiment too, which is very important with gardening. You got to experiment with different things. So I left the fruit on. I planted the tree, and You know, it's trees growing, it's getting larger, and it has some fruit on it that got ripe in early December, late November, and I harvested them. They were really good. So that was another success for me.
Oh, that's what's up. So, folks, get into Cara oranges if you have not. I mean, they sell them here, so I'm assuming they come from the West Coast, but they sell it because I'm here on the East Coast in Maryland. Um, they make you go to the bathroom, folks. They keep you in shape if you're trying to stay and watch your weight. Get some Cara oranges. That's what's up. I'm excited about that you're growing those. But my next question will be, what advice would you give a new gardener who's trying to do what you're trying to do, or farmer?
Okay. My advice would be to just start. So many people procrastinate. Oh, I don't have the space. I don't know what I'm doing. So my advice would be, there's two things. I would say do research and then start. You can grow in a variety of spaces. You don't need a lot of land to grow. You start small. You don't have to grow massive amount at the beginning. Start small and expand out. But research is very important. That will be my number one step, because there's so much behind it. You have to know your growing zones. You have to know, and you can learn over time, but you need to know these things to begin too. Yeah, like you can't grow out of season. You can experiment with things, but you still, like corn is not going to grow. If you just start planting your corn and you live in a cold climate in November, it's not going to work. And no matter, it's not going to work. You know, so you got to know what are your warm season crops, what are your cool season crops, and then know the length of your growing season, and know what does best in different environments. So there's things you have to know, you know, to begin, and you'll learn more as you keep going for your particular microclimate and your land. But there's some basic concepts that you need to know.
Okay, that's what's up. So, what if they want to buy land, like you bought land, or is it like you
Hmm.
bought a house that just happened to have an acre worth of land on it? Is that how it happened for
No,
you?
I chose this came. I wanted a house with at least an acre. I needed that. How do you buy land? The first couple of times I bought land, I just did it the traditional way. I had this is my fourth house in LA, or in the LA area, Southern California. But I mean, every time I bought land, I bought it the traditional way. You know, just go through the process. The traditional way is you get pre-approved. You have to have a certain credit score, and based off that credit score, you get different, and your source of income, you get a pre-approval amount, and then you can shop for your home, and then go through that whole process and put in an offer, and then you have to wait 30, usually is between 2 weeks and 30 to 60 days. Somewhere in between there is usually when you close, depending on, typically most of them close between 30 to 60 days. Um, and then that's a typical process. This last time I went through USDA Farm Service Agency, which is not a typical process. And you have to have a lot of your ducks in a row for this long process.
Hmm.
It can be done. I am a testament that it can be done. A lot of people say you can't get a loan through USDA Farm Service Agency. Um, it's very hard, and I had to fight to get through it, but it can be done. You need to have your business in order, EIN number. You need to have um, you need to file your Schedule F farming for taxes. You need to have record of that. You need to have at least 3 years of your farm or business up and running, or a combination of education and experience. I use education and experience along with my business. 1 year of my business, then I had education experience too. Like I said, I have a master's in education, and I have a bachelor's degree in uh, African American studies, but I have a minor in agriculture and a minor in music. So the minor in agriculture, I had that experience and that exposure from that as well. And so utilizing and then I had managerial experience, because that was one of the things as well. Then they have another component where you can um, have a mentor as part of the part of your requirements as well. So I was able to use a combination of all of that to get my approval, to supplement for having 3 years of your business. Um, and then you have to you have to have business plans. So there's a whole template, and there's a whole stack of paper. You got to have business plans. You have to create your current business plan, show proof of what you're currently growing and your income from that, and then project it outward. What your business plan would be like, what you plan on growing, and projecting income from that, and then a market analysis of what you think you're going to sell it for. So it's a whole lengthy process. And then you have to, of course, your financial statements. They're going to ask for that, which is typical for any loan, like your bank statements. Now, with the USDA Farm Service Agency, they don't really care about your credit score, but you have to show credit worthiness. And then if you have blemishes in your credit, you have to provide documentation to why. So basically, a letter why you have this going on with your score. So you're not automatically disqualified because you may have a lower credit score. So that's the good thing about it. And then the loan flexibility, interest rates lower, locked in, and then the loan terms are a little bit more flexible as well with them. So those are some of the differences. But the other thing is, with a typical home loan, or with the typical property loan, right? You have to do, you get pre-approved up front, but with this, you don't. With the typical loan, you get pre-approved up front, then you go get your property and lock into your purchase agreement. With FSA, you have to have a purchase agreement up front, and then your loan officially gets processed. So it's backwards, and it takes longer. It took me 6 months from start to finish. Instead of 30 days. It's a long process. So you have to have somebody that's willing to wait with you through the whole process. And a lot of people aren't, because they can sell to somebody and be closed and done within 30, 45 days. So yeah, everything just has to line up, but it can be done.
So, folks, I hope you was taking notes. Later on today, you can go back and replay this. It's going to be up on my profile. You can take some notes, check out the USDA, get those garden loans, those farming loans. Somebody is saying that you got 50 acres. I'm not going to say his name, but he said he walked it, and you got 50 acres and stopped capping on 1 acre of land.
No comment.
But a thing that you talked about in that last paragraph, or that last couple of words, you said a mentor. How did you find a mentor?
So there's a.
And was it a garden mentor, or was it more like on a business side?
It's more on the business side, because I have a mentor. We check in once in a while, but I ended up not needing a mentor, but I got one anyway because I didn't want to have any roadblocks in the approval process. But I ended up not needing a mentor because all my other qualifications suffice. But they have it's called a SCORE program. So actually, I could actually be a mentor now if I wanted to. It's called USDA partner to do the SCORE. It's called SCORE, and so you have to pull a mentor from the SCORE program as one of the components to supplement, or they may have required that. They end up not requiring it for me, but they can require that you have a mentor from this SCORE. It's like a database they have of mentors.
Okay, that's what's up. And you said it was more on the business opposed to the farming.
It was like farming business. Like the guy that's my mentor that I talk to once in a while, he's like, his more like farming the business aspect. So we check in, I think, quarterly, just to touch bases.
Okay, that's what's up. So, primarily, you make your money now by supplying farmers markets with your produce, or are you in any grocery stores, mom and pop shops? How does
Yeah,
that money flow in
yeah.
from?
Mine is unique. It's not just based on the farm. I mean, not based on the farm as you think as just produce, because I'm still building out my land. I have produce, but I'm not at full capacity yet. I planted 75 to 80 fruit trees and fruiting plants, so they're not all growing or producing yet. I'll start have fruit next year because I have a lot of mine are grafted, so they'll start producing a lot quicker than just from seed. But I do have a lot of fruit and vegetables, and being able to grow year round allows me to sell year round. But I also, you have to be intentional with how you're getting your money, so and your money flow. So I mean I have partnerships. So I get, yeah, I have the farmers markets. I do my Etsy shop. I have a garden series coming up. So that I'm doing that I got that on my page if you're interested. I'm doing a series in January, a two-part series of for beginning gardeners. Um, and so that one is and that cost series, I think it's 40, each one is $40. So the part one and part two right now. So I have that going on. I also have I have partnerships. Like I was saying, I have a partnership with Scratch and Peck Feeds. It's a chicken feed company where I post content and share what I do with their feed. So that's a paid partnership that I have. I had a partnership with TikTok last year where I had to do content, series of quick garden videos, tricks and tips. So this diversifying my profile and so my portfolio. So I pull in different income sources from different areas. It kind of varies. So I do have the produce, but I also have several partnerships that some are longer partnerships or some for just a certain period of time. I have another partnership where I'm writing some content that I'll be talking about. I'll be officially sharing soon, but I have a partnership where I'm doing some art gardening articles that's going to be launching next year. I'm one of the writers for that. So there's different things coming
Oh,
up.
that's what's up. I guess you got a good lawyer too, huh?
I got some lawyer friends.
No. We need those lawyers to make sure that that money flows and stays flowing, and those partnerships are worthy of farmer kin. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, next question would be, how has gardening changed you since you first started?
How's gardening done what?
Has changed you
Oh, it has
since you
changed me.
first?
Okay, let's see. I mean, it keeps me grounded, and I appreciation for nature, and it's also therapy for me. So that it definitely it's helped through the pandemic. At the same time, the pandemic was going on. So my grandmother, had been battling cancer a couple like she went in remission for a while since 2014. Then she passed away in 2019. Her husband of 59 years, my grandfather, passed away in 2020. So they passed away 8 months apart from each other. Then the pandemic hit, and so it was a lot of that going on at the same time. And so gardening definitely helped keep me focused and help with my healing process. And so, yeah, I definitely appreciate just being out in the land and uh, being out in nature and seeing the different insects and animals and things like that definitely help. I see hummingbirds all the time. Hummingbird bird was just flying around a second ago. Hummingbirds come by daily over in this new land, so I see those a lot. Different types of butterfly species, and I even have. I mean, I see the rabbits and the squirrels. As long as they stay out of my garden area, we good. I see them. I see them all around. Um, so different things. Yeah, it all keeps me grounded.
Okay. Where do you spend the most time in your garden? I know for me, it's on a deck that I built during the pandemic, and it's supposed to just been like a, like a relaxation place, but then I end up putting plants and fruit trees and gardening stuff. But where do you like to spend the most time in your garden?
Wow.
Like, is it
Let's
a
see.
certain place? Is it a certain tree that you like to go sit under, meditate?
Yeah, I put a bench in now in one of the areas, so sometimes I just kind of sit up there, um, and just look at everything. And I'm getting a couple more areas. I see there's some other potential areas. I just got to get my finish getting my seating together in some of these areas. But I there's a spot at the bottom. Uh, I call them my lower garden area because I grow in areas that aren't typical. So I don't grow in just flat land. I have like different if anyone visits my land, you'll see it's I have I have hills and things like that. So I just don't grow on typical flat areas. So there's my lower garden area. I spend a lot of time down there as well because you get a great look at the view from down there as well. So I spend a lot of time there, and then it's kind of like tucked away.
Okay. Do you give tours to ordinary people? um of your garden space, or is that's like kind of private because it's kind of like your home too?
I've given some people have reached out. So some people have been over. Um, yeah, so and some people have volunteered. So yeah, I do give
Okay,
some
and they see
tours.
all 50 acres, right?
Yeah, and they see all 50 acres. Sometimes they come put in some work.
That's what's up. You just can't just come and tour and get some fruit and vegetables. You gotta put in a little bit of work, right?
Yeah.
Where do you buy your seeds or find your seeds and plants? That's a big topic
So
because people always have problems with that. Most people only know big box stores.
mhm.
Now Dollar Tree, dollar stores have them. Where do you find your seeds and buy your seeds from?
Yeah, so I do a lot of unique varieties. So I mean, I try if I see a unique variety of a seed, I'll go ahead and grab it, and then I after that I end up sourcing for myself. So like I get some from Botanical Interest is one of my favorites because they have a lot of unique things, and so I do get a lot from them from Baker Seeds. Both of them have a lot of unique varieties. So I initially will get my seeds from them, and then for future generations of my seeds, I'll just save seeds from what I'm growing. So I also get seeds from different mom and pop stores if I run across some. Sometimes off of Etsy. So it's a combination of if I see something I want to grow that I don't have, I'm just gonna grab the seeds and then source it for myself moving forward from that point. But yeah, you can definitely source from a wide variety of spaces, for your seeds and plants too. I get my plants from a wide variety. Some in the big box stores and some not. It just kind of depends. I go by if I see something I like. Like I found some pink lemon, Eureka pink lemons. Got some from Home Depot. And then I also had ordered some online because I got like I think 6 or 7 of them now. And they're not hard to find. I mean they're pretty hard to find. So I just grabbed them when I saw them. Uh, there's a spot called Four Winds out here, and it's an online shop out here in California. You won't be able to get them anywhere else but in California. But this Four Winds spot, I get a lot of different citrus trees, unique varieties there. Uh, you can't ship in California, Florida, Texas. Our citrus you can't ship out of state. Like we can't receive anyone's citrus or ship them out here because there's a citrus disease, and so that kind of keeps it more contained. So that's why, and a lot of plants you can't ship out of California, and just depending on what the plant is, because of our ecosystem here. And same thing with like Florida and Texas. Some of the unique plants, you just can't ship them out. So you have to get them from your own state. Luckily, there's a couple different growers here that they have some contracts. So there's a spot in Riverside County, one of the universities here, that has a lot of different citrus varieties, and they sell they sell the cuttings so you can start your own from them, and they have partnerships with a couple of different nurseries where they can get the cuttings and then they graft them and start plants. So there's like 3 or 4 different nurseries that have a lot of unique varieties that you can't find anywhere else, and they actually source them for the whole state, and then or you can get order from them directly. So they have like Ponderosa lemons are harder to find here, but some of those nurseries have them, for instance, or like they have a lot of unique varieties that you don't find anywhere else. So that's how I source some of my stuff, and eventually I'm going to start getting into grafting. I just have so much other stuff going on that I can't add that onto my plate right now.
Okay. And you said pink lemons or something
Yeah,
like that? Are they pink or is this pink inside? What does that look like?
it look like it's pink, like pink lemonade, pink inside, variegated leaf. The leaf is green and white, and then a variegated fruit that's striped. It's like green and a yellow color with some green variegation on it. And yeah, it's a pink. You make pink lemonade out of it.
Oh
So
wow.
I had to get them.
I mean, of course that's what's up. Pink lemons. I did find a what is a pink lemonade, blueberry bush or whatever, and I actually found that at a big box store, and I was surprised
Yeah.
to find that at a big box store, and also I was able to find a dragon fruit that actually gave me three dragon fruits this past summer from
Nice.
another big box store, which you normally typically is like dragon fruit in Maryland. Um, is really rare. But yeah, check out those
Nice.
big box stores, folks. Find that pink lemon and see what you can do. Geo Garden wants to know: are there any black owned seed companies in your area?
Good Yard Gives. They're in further north in California, but Good Yard Gives is a great one. I've gotten some seeds from them. Uh, they're black owned. Um, I there's some I sell some of my seeds in my Etsy shop and at farmers markets, and then there's a couple other farmers that I go to for the prosperity market, which is a black-owned farmers market that sells seeds. Botanically Bree, she sells some seeds as well. Um, so yeah, there's a couple.
Okay, that's what's up. How do you decide what you want to grow?
Um,
Is it based
I
on what you like or what you feel like the need is at the farmer's market? Do you ever do any surveys when you at the market, asking people what they like to eat, what anything like that?
I just grow what I grow. Some things that I know people will love, like collard greens and mustards and turnips and tomatoes and stuff like that. But then I grow unique varieties of things too, because I try to open people's minds to different things. I show them there's a lot of different varieties than what you find in the store. So I grow different. I had some black tomato varieties, right? Like Midnight Snack is one, a new one I'm growing, or like I have. The different squash, which is pretty funny because people think that just because something is larger that is GMO. So I had to explain it. No, just because it's larger doesn't mean it's GMO. Yes, things can grow large and still be organic. So I've had to spend a lot of time explaining that. Most of us explaining to people online than in person, because in person you're just like, wow, they like it, but they just want to know. My thing online is in person is how do you use it? So they kind of ask, well, how do you use this or different things like that. So I have to explain that. So most of what I grow is some stuff I grow that I know are traditional things, right? But then I also incorporate unique varieties because that's one of the things that I always want to do is incorporate. Uh, just these different things that people haven't seen, like the kuka melons is another one. They're like little. Have you ever grown them? Have you grown them before?
I have.
Yeah. So people are always like confused about those too, because they're thinking it's gonna be like a melon, because it look like a little watermelon, but it's it tastes like a cucumber.
Hmm.
But I kind of, it's great just opening people's minds up to and showing them new types of produce to eat.
That's what's up. I grew loofah for the first time this year, and
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do with the loofah for real. So I did eat one. Um, it wasn't bad. I'm not sure if I'll eat it again, but I did eat loofah. But now I'm actually in the process of making like soaps with the loofah. And I'm
Yeah.
gonna experiment with that, and I'm also gonna dye the loofah with some purple cabbage to make it kind of like purple, and then I'm gonna do a whole lavender mix with it. So yeah, loofah was interesting to grow. But I had an author on a couple weeks ago. I did a series with this author out of Australia, Julian Cribbs, and he gave me a link to 30,000 fruit and vegetables that you can grow, and I was blown away just by even going through that list. So
Nice.
that's exciting that you grow different things. And I like the experiment too. I tried growing horseradish, which was really a cool thing to do.
Yeah, I did loofah for the first year this year as well.
Mhm.
Um, and I still have loofah. It's still growing. I still have loofah growing now. I have about eight more to harvest. I had like some that I've harvested and sold already. I've saved the seeds, so I sell the seeds and then I sell the loofahs at the farmers market and the Etsy shop, the actual sponge part that you can use for skin exfoliation. But it was my first. I didn't try eating it. I heard you could eat it, but I was on the fence if I wanted to try to eat it or not. So next year I'll try to eat them when they try one to eat them when it's young.
Yes.
But
When-
I
yep.
But yeah, I still got a lot of them. It hasn't died yet. It's
Okay.
still, I see some more flowers blooming on it. So I'm leaving it in the ground and to experiment and see what happens. Um, in our warmer climate, sometimes things will overwinter, although it's really, people say it's annual. And then I'm not being an annual for real. Like my cucamellas overwintered last year on my former land. I got couple cucamelons towards the fall, then it kind of died back, and then it came back out again in the spring. And then tomatoes and peppers and eggplant, they also overwinter. They're really a biennial that actually could last even longer than that. I had an eggplant that lasted 3 years, and same thing with my peppers. So those are things that can definitely overwinter, and tomatoes as well. And then so I kind of experimenting. Sometimes I leave stuff in the ground just to see what will happen. I still have a
Okay.
zucchini that's producing, and my trombone squash actually overwintered last year too on my former property, and my squash is still trombone squash, my pink banana squash. They're both still green now. So
Pink banana squash. Does it get pink?
yeah, pink. It gets pink tinge. Pink is blue on the outside, and a salmon colored exterior. It has a sweet, nutty, dry taste to it. And I what I did with mine is I made some bread. I also baked some in the oven with put some cinnamon, nutmeg, and a little brown sugar baked in the oven. It was great. So yeah, pink banana squash gets large, like a torpedo type squash. I got a picture of it on my Instagram. I also had Kushaw squash variety. Kushaw squash is popular in some of the southern states, but a Kushaw squash variety called Illinois squash. That's the big white squash that I have a picture of. And you can use that. They say I make a better pie than sweet potato pie, Kushaw squash pie. So and that's a winter squash. Pink banana squash and Kushaw squash are winter squash. Doesn't mean you grow them in the wintertime. It means that they still grow in the warm season, but you can store them in a cool, dry spot, and they last several months in the winter, like a pumpkin. So
Hmm.
actually, some of them are the same genus species as a pumpkin.
Have you
Um,
made that pie with it yet?
nah, it's still chilling right now. I'm gonna make it soon.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I'm gonna make it soon. I got to experiment with that, and then I have to. I got another squash called Getty Okosaman. Um, so I only got like two fruit off of that one, but I got one of those I got to eat too. So I'm waiting to check that one out.
That's what's up. You got to do some videos of all of those when you make those pies and different things
Yeah.
so we can see it. I like that you said you made some bread with it. I'm gonna
Hmm.
experiment making collard green bread for New Year's. And I'm gonna see how
That
that is.
sounds interesting.
Yeah, we got a here at my house we got a bread machine last year, but we haven't broke it out yet. And so I'm gonna I dried some collard green out and made it into a powder. And I'm gonna see what the bread looks like. I have made ravioli with it before, and that was really good. So I'm thinking
Nice.
collard green bread might be good. I'm not sure, but I'll let folks know about that one. But do you have a favorite plant or vegetable? That was a question in the question room, but I wanted to save it. Do you have a favorite plant or vegetable that you like to grow and cook as well?
Let's see. My favorite, it kind of changes depend. Oh, one of my favorites is a mango is one of my favorite fruits. So that's like one of the ones I have. I do have two little mango trees now, so I'm looking forward to those producing soon. Um, so those are my favorite. And peaches and nectarines. I like those a lot, and I probably have like 12 peach trees now on the new land. So yeah,
Do you have
I'll
like
get a harvest next year.
do
Uh
you
huh.
have one of those donut peaches? One of those
Oh,
Saturn ones?
I gotta add that in the collection. I don't have that one yet, but yeah, I
Okay.
know about them. I gotta add
Yeah.
that one on.
That's what I want to get. It's funny, my little brother has one, but he lives in an apartment and is on his balcony, so they get pretty big. But
Yeah,
he does have those donut
nice.
peaches, which is cool. What is the hardest plant you ever try to grow?
Oh, the hardest plant that I've tried to grow. Um, what has been pretty hard? There's not, there's things that I won't grow no more. I guess I could say that. I don't grow spinach. Spinach
Hmm.
does not do well for me, so I don't do it. I use chard. Usually I just use chard. I eat some kale. Spinach doesn't. It struggles in my climate here. For me, it doesn't do well. It's too hot. It's dry. Even in the wintertime, it still struggles because the winter times are cool season crop time, prime time. My spinach never gets really big. It just doesn't. It just doesn't do it for me. It just. I don't even mess with it anymore. Because I find enjoyment in my chard. So, and I can grow chard year round without any issues. And so I just grow chard. So for me, the spinach is my struggle plant. I just, yeah, even when it grows, it's kind of small. It grows, but then it doesn't work well in my area, my microclimate. So yeah, I don't do that one anymore.
That's what's up. It does pretty well here, but I would say it doesn't do well in the summertime here in Maryland, and in the wintertime I have to keep it like in a shaded part of the yard. But once it start growing, it really grows. I have a lot of it now, but I do grow chard, but how do you fix your chard? How do you cook your chard, or how do you eat your chard? Because I do have a little problem with it a little times. Like if I don't know, um, how do you? Because I need some recipes.
Yeah, I put it in. I saute it sometimes. Saute it with some garlic and some butter sometimes, or do things like that. Or uh, so when I saute it, it's nice and tender, Or I mix it. Sometimes I saute it and mix it in with the kale. Sometimes I eat it raw in a salad with some lettuce, kale, and just a nice mixture like that. Sometimes I do. I have put it in my omelets before. The younger tender leaves without the stem, because the stem's a little harder. When you cook it, you cook the stems first a couple minutes before you cook the leaves, because the leaves cook down tender. Like if you chop it up, because it has a nice little pretty color, so it looks nice. Like the leaf, if you get the rainbow chard, cook your stems a couple minutes before you put your leaves in, because it takes them a little bit longer to get softer. So that's the trick that I use. But yeah, I use it. I use it in a lot of different ways. Without
How
any
about
issues.
smoothies? Do you put them in smoothies?
I have before. I put them in smoothies before. Chard and kale. I use both of those. But it's also great for permaculture because the chard, the kale, and the collards, they last year round here. So I put
Oh
those in
yeah.
different spaces. And then I have tree collards too.
Okay.
So I incorporate. You got any tree collards here?
I do. It's crazy. So I don't know where I got it from. But I got one and I was like, what the hell? This look like a damn tree. What is
Yeah,
going on? I mean, it's like almost tall as me. I'm 5'8", so it was
yeah,
definitely taller than me. And I was like, what in the world? And it just keeps coming back every year and every
yeah.
year, every year. It's crazy. The bugs get to it and then it dies off and then it just keeps coming back. But yeah, um, I got a collard green tree, y'all.
Yeah, I found a bunch of snatched them up. I got like 10 of them now because in the long run it'll be sustainable. So I mean I have my other collard greens that take forever to grow, right? But I have those within the tree collards last 10 to 12 years, if not more. So and they grow massive, so it'll give you a constant supply of collards, even if your other collards die off. So yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
that's
I
what's
love
up.
having them.
So usually around this time I do the black table question of the week. And the question of the week is, how do you maintain this farm day in, day out on a daily basis and maintain a social life?
Yeah, um, so maintaining the farm is starting to get on autopilot. So it's allowing me to do more. At first, it was a lot. We went to new land. It was just a lot to get done. So, but also we still have some restrictions in place. So I mean, you got a social life, but it's only to a certain extent because a lot of places still close a little early, or a lot of places are, they have different requirements to get in and things like that. So, or limited capacity. So there is some social. I finally took a trip last month, and it was like the first major. Well, this fall, I went back home back to Ohio for a couple of days, and then I went to New Orleans for a week, the week of Thanksgiving. So I finally had a little break from farm life, and my neighbor came and checked on my chickens. They got chickens too, so that's the only thing I had to. He came just to make sure my chickens were okay. That I have a dispenser, so they had enough food and water and stuff like that, but just to make sure no predator got to them. And then I have an irrigation system, so I don't have to water every day. And then now the irrigation system is off because we've been getting our rain, so I'll get a break from that period. So yeah, maintaining is getting better now because stuff is starting to get on autopilot. But yeah, certain times of the year, it's go mode. Especially when you're planting new things and have to make sure the seeds are coming up. So yeah, it takes a little while to find that balance, especially when you're just starting out your new land. You're gonna be spending a lot of time and effort making sure everything's running effectively, and then you'll be able to pull back a little bit.
That's what's up. Do you have any help with this farm, or is it just you?
It's for the most part, it's just me. Once in a while, I have volunteers or people that come out. In the future, I plan on hiring maybe a couple employees to get on board. That's part of the reason why I have a GoFundMe up because I'm doing to make the farm. I still got to expand out more, and one of my goals that I'm doing now that I need to continue to do is expanding people's mindsets and providing more food to communities, more source of more organic produce to various communities, and to particularly to under-resourced communities as well. So I have, and so part of that is that I can continue to expand outward, get some employees hired. I'm only using a third of my space right now for farming, and I can expand out another third. So all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, eventually I will be having more help and more volunteers and employees. So yeah, I'm building out. It's coming.
Okay, that's what. Can you drop the GoFundMe?
Yeah. So if you go to my page, um, if you go on my page, I have a link tree as my on my web. Like it's just a link tree like for the website portion. If you click on that link, the GoFundMe is the uh, top choice on there. So that's where you can find the GoFundMe. And then I'll have it up on my story as well for you guys.
Okay, that's what's up. Another question in the comments, like, do you incorporate pollinators in your garden?
Oh
For one.
yeah, I have pollinator everywhere. I have pollinator plants everywhere. There's honeybees on this land all the time, and butterflies. Most thing I see is different bee varieties, and then I see butterflies. I still have plants. I have plants blooming year round. I have African blue basil is one of my favorites to grow and pulls in a lot of pollinators. I have about 30 of those plants around the land. That is a perennial basil. So is Tulsi basil. I have a couple perennial basils. Tulsi basil and African blue basil. They pull in a lot of honeybees year round. I have some. I grow sunflowers year round. Um, I have uh, I have still blooming now zinnias and Mexican uh,
Sunflowers.
Mexican sunflowers. I have Mexican marigolds. All that stuff is still blooming now, and so those are pulling in. I have a lot. Oh, I have rosemary that's blooming right now. It blooms whenever it feels like it. Lavender, same thing. So
Hmm.
I have a lot of different flowers throughout the space. And so, yes, pollinators are very important, and I make sure they have a lot of stuff to eat on here.
Okay, that's what's up. I got two questions before we get out of here. One is, do you have a favorite trick or tip that you have picked up along the way since you've been gardening?
Let's see. Trick that I use sometimes is hand pollinating my squash. So sometimes I'll just go out and hand pollinate. Squash has male and female flowers. Same thing with melons and cucumbers. They're all the same family. And so you can hand pollinate. I use a Q-tip or paint, the watercolor paintbrush, and I take pollen from the male and put it in the female, and that's all you have to do. So sometimes, although there's a lot of pollinators, sometimes I still help them out, and I will hand pollinate as well. So that's a
Um,
tip that I use.
tell the audience what's the difference. How can you tell the difference between the male
Hmm.
flowers and the female flowers? That's a good question because people always ask me, and I don't know. For real, for real.
Female flowers have a swollen bulb at the bottom that look like a mini fruit, and
Okay.
males do not. Also, the male flowers have the pollen inside, and the females don't. Female flowers will have they have a little the receptors, which the ovaries attached to, and so you just take some pollen from the male and then tap it inside, rubbing around the female and those receptors, and that's all you have to do. But you can always tell your females because it actually has like a mini fruit at the bottom. Now then if it doesn't get pollinated, that thing will fall off within a couple of days and be like, why did my fruit fall off? It's because it wasn't
Oh,
pollinated. Most of the time, it's because it wasn't
I get it. I get it
pollinated.
now. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm still learning. I mean, I've been
yeah,
growing now for about 10 years, a good 10 years, but I'm still new at it. But I have seen the things fall off and I was like, what happened? You know what I'm saying? Maybe a bug got to it. I guess it didn't get that male energy that it needed.
yeah. That's what happens the majority of the time. And at the beginning, that's what it is. It just didn't get pollinated and it just fell off. It won't develop.
Okay. So folks, did y'all hear that? We talking science here right now. Male and female energy. Um, that's what's up. So my last and final question is what are your future plans for your farm?
Yeah, so future plans, just expanding out more. Uh, I'm using a third of the land now, getting up to like two-thirds this upcoming year. Planting more fruit trees. I have more room, so getting more citrus planted and then more stone fruit. I want more peaches. Then I still got to plant. I may get a couple more avocados in the ground, and I want to get some pistachios. So just expanding out with some more plant varieties to be more diverse, continue diversifying the land, getting everything up and running more, providing us more produce out to markets in different communities. That's some of my future plans, and then getting some more partnerships.
Okay, partnerships is where it's at, y'all.
Yeah,
I'm looking to expand into that area. I do have a couple partnerships that I'm working with, um, and I'm excited. I'll be really doing more in the new year when I get my website up and everything. But yeah, partnerships is where that y'all. But Farmer Kenneth Sparks, thank you for joining me this morning. I know it's early in the morning out there on the West Coast, so I really appreciate you coming on. I wanted to end Black Gardener Talk this season with somebody who's really doing big things in the community, especially as a black male. I'm excited to see more black males doing more gardening because when I got into the gardening space, I didn't see any black males. Most of the people that follow me and support me are females, and I want to see more black males following me and supporting me as well as supporting you. I know Derek was in the room. There's Geo Gardner's
yeah,
in the room. There's two green thumbs in the room. I like to see more males doing it because that's what we did back in the day. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
then somewhere the females took over. And I don't have a problem with the females taking over, but I want to push. My goal is to get more black males to garden. And that's one of my goals. That's why I have this platform. But I want this platform to be able to inspire people to grow food and do businesses like yours. Any last parting words before I let you go?
Yeah, I definitely encourage everybody to grow. Grow by any means necessary. You don't need a
Necessary.
lot of land. You don't need a lot of land. Just start growing. And and you're going to make mistakes. It's about experimentation. There's things you can avoid by doing some research so you can know so you can lessen the mistakes that you make, but you're still going to make mistakes and it's still going to be some trial and error. And yeah, and happy growing. And thanks for having me on today.
Oh, thank you. So, folks, I'm going to go on break for a whole month. I'll be back in February on Black Gardener Talk, same time, 11 a.m., because I'm catching up with my partnerships and I'll make that partnership, make this platform and this program expands. So, until next year, I want you to live your life healthy, free from negativity. And, as always, you got to stay dope, y'all. All right. Peace out.
All right.